On a cold, wet January day in the year 2020, Mayor of Chicago, the Honorable Lori Lightfoot, visited the Green Living Room as part of her citywide listening tour. Mayor Lightfoot heard from a full house of concerned residents committed to making West Woodlawn a green village where residents can walk to work, walk to shop, walk to learn, and walk to play. Neighborhood investment is a major part of Mayor Lightfoot's ambitious reform agenda.
Putting Chicago government and integrity in the same sentence sometimes may seem a little strange. But friends, that's going to change, because it's got to change. For years, they've said Chicago ain't ready for reform. Well, get ready, because reform is here.
Particularly for the long neglected south and west sides of the city. Better known as the Black community.
Black energy!
A review of the numbers paints a sobering picture. Most disturbing is the alarming lack of employment opportunities faced by young Black men. A crisis that demands a whole system solution to a whole system problem.
We have so much space, particularly in the south and west sides, and we are agricultural folks.
Yes,
right?
we are.
But how do we transform that?
And reforesting the south side could be a priority.
So we need to talk, because you're not coming from Detroit.
Yes, I do.
24 square miles of vacant land. So
during the mayor's visit to the Green Living Room, she introduced Maurice Cox, her newly appointed commissioner of the Department of Planning and Development.
So wrong. There is amazing momentum, and 63rd and Cottage is really the center of it.
His department is charged with the daunting task of reversing decades of policy that has left the south and west sides of the city woefully underdeveloped compared to the primarily white north side. All agreed that it will take more than one listening tour to find the answers. Still, the mayor departed on a high note, having assured the assembled guests that she is serious about distributing city resources in a more equitable manner. To underscore the point, just 1 week later, on January 17th, Commissioner Cox returned to the Green Living Room as the guest of honor at Big's monthly Third Friday Masterclass and Networking Social. It was a cold and snowy night, but that didn't stop concerned stakeholders from packing the house. The standing room only audience was composed of people from across the spectrum of public, private, and grassroots interest.
We have a new mayor, do we not? Yes. Okay, and we're counting on that new mayor to fulfill what's in her heart and what's in her speaking about equity and about parity and about investment. But we want to make sure we are clear about one thing. Nothing trumps ownership of the land. We want to own it.
As the anticipation grew for the arrival of Commissioner Cox, the audience took time to get to know one another.
Two people you don't know, a few facts, and then you and that person are going to come up when I do call you. So
I met Phyllis tonight. Phyllis Hill. Phyllis just purchased a new building in on the west side. She's looking to open a center in a laundromat. She has 2 children and 2 grandchildren, and all of them are girls. Shout out to the girls.
Cortesia is from Dallas. She was invited here by a friend, only been here 11 months, graduated from grad school and got a job here. No children, she's doing it all alone. All right.
wow. Sisters up in here buying laundromats and buildings up in here. Oh.
That's a little different.
So on the mic, I'm going to bring up one of our energy coaches. Patrice is going to let you know exactly what we do and how we do it. Give it up for Patrice.
Good evening. Welcome to Blacks and Green at the Green Living Room. We have this third networking Friday for a reason. We out here, we're on a mission to educate our neighbors about ComEd's free home energy assessment program. You read the information on this palm card. We need you to scan our QR code that's going to lead you to ComEd's website to request your free home energy assessment. ComEd is going to come to your home and they're going to replace and install all of your lights. They're going to provide you with advanced power strips. They're going to replace your shower heads, faucet aerators. They'll provide you with programmable thermostats, and you get discounts on smart thermostats. So take advantage of it. Make sure you get your free home energy assessment from ComEd, whereas they will come out and provide you with these energy efficiency saving tools. All right, y'all got me? Okay.
Members of the cast from the play 1619, Journey of a People, shared excerpts from the musical that set a thoughtful tone to the evening's proceedings.
What would Dr. King say to the divided states of America today? Love God. Love your fellow man. In the end, you will display the true promise of this great land to a world in disarray. But see, social progress doesn't come from one protest. It must be won every single day.
Say that.
We fight for freedom. And we fight for justice, and we're never going to stop. Because you remember the preacher whose faith in God took him to the mountaintop. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really don't matter to me now, because I've been to the mountain. I don't mind.
These moving excerpts from 1619 created the perfect lead-in to the main event. The founder of Blacks in Green, Naomi Denise Davis, an urban theorist, attorney, activist, and proud granddaughter of Mississippi sharecroppers, moderated a comprehensive, wide-ranging discussion with Commissioner Maurice Cox, which focused on neighborhood development, particularly in Woodlawn and the Southeast Side.
Clearly, I was, the little snow doesn't tamper people's enthusiasm for getting out in Chicago. Thank you all for showing up anyway, despite this weather. So yes, it's great to be here. I'm back again, because I was here last week.
Yes. And just who were you with when you were here last week?
I was with Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Yeah. Just another 5 foot tall, brown skinned woman who doesn't take no for an answer. Can I get an amen?
The mayor, as many of you who heard her during the campaign, she was talking about issues of equity, all kinds of equity, but she was talking about equity in investment in this city, and was determined to distribute the resources that we have to lift up this community citywide. And so she focused on the South Side and the West Side. And as she began to look at how public resources were being deployed, She saw public investment of past administrations, but what was missing was that those investments were used to catalyze private investment. This map, many of you have seen this before. It's been in a lot of her presentations, and it shows a 50-year snapshot of what has happened to Chicago as a result of public policy. Of blue, which was high income, look at where we were in 2017, where the north side has gotten richer and richer. The middle class is almost gone off of that map, and the low income has just expanded to the west and to the south of the city. So I would contend that public policy created that map. This was not by accident. So Invest Southwest, over the course of the summer, we really looked hard at what were communities where we could start on the south and west sides, knowing that we couldn't do the entire south side and the entire west side together.
Commissioner Cox laid out what he called a transformative and audacious plan to provide leverage funds for a variety of small to medium-sized projects in 10 targeted communities. The goal is to provide $1 billion of investment, with the first $250 million supplied by the Department of Planning and Development, monies that Commissioner Cox wants to push out in the first year of Invest Southwest. An additional $500 million would be pumped into infrastructure investments through partnerships with other city departments and sister agencies, such as the Chicago Transit Authority and the Department of Transportation. Private investors, such as BMO Harris and Starbucks, along with additional public funding, would eventually bring the total earmarked for Invest Southwest to $1 billion. But first things first.
And here's the important part. I have inherited a planning department that was not built to deliver neighborhood revitalization. I'm just going to say it. And so I have had to reorganize the planning department so that they can do this work. I am creating 7 districts, and I am assigning planners to each of those districts, and that will be their territory exclusively. They will be planted in those communities and be the connections that folks have always hoped for in the planning department. And very important to me, we are hiring a new group of planners that will join the existing planners who look like the communities they want to plan in.
Kimberly Morris, one of the planners for the Southeast District, was on hand and introduced herself to the very receptive audience.
My name is Kimberly Morris. I work with the Commissioner Cox at the Department of Planning and Development. You might have saw my face on the screen up there, so I will be one of the regional planners for the Southeast region. And I'm also a resident of Woodlawn, so I know this community well, lived in the Southeast side all my life, so you can't have anybody on the team that's more invested in seeing Woodlawn development. So,
thank you.
Many attendees expressed a sense of urgency to move things forward as quickly as possible.
Bronzeville. So we talk about economic development, but we cannot have economic development if our people aren't there. So I'm very, very concerned with gentrification.
Sure. We're talking about how do we package the housing, the vacant housing stock that we have, and get African American entrepreneurs who live in that community to be those who rehab those houses and go on to know how to manage properties so that we don't displace them. And I say, but you may own your home, but if you own the house down the block too, there is a high likelihood that you will stay in that community.
that's what I'm talking about.
Attendees also stressed the need for local representation within the Department of Planning.
We need a headquarters. We need a place, not necessarily downtown, that we can take care of our business 24/7.
I don't understand why they always got to cap our community at 250. I ask for much more because after 25 years, I put my own money and my work into it. I'm tired of not getting enough of what they give me. The North Side. It's not right. It's not fair.
I mean, there's so many pieces of this puzzle, but we just have to start. And we have to have a proof of concept, and then we will bring those other components to the strategy, and then you'll see a proliferation of hundreds of projects. I said something in the paper, Fran at the Chicago Sun-Times asked me did I kind of believe in these mega projects, and I tried not to, poo-poo the mega projects, but I said, what I want are hundreds of little projects that kind of filter throughout our community, and they will have a catalytic impact, and they will be more accessible to the opportunities that we want.
Many questions and concerns lingered in the air.
Money, and I'd like to see a portion of these $750 million or $1 billion to be also given to the communities that these projects are going to be happening in, and say you decide how to spend this portion.
I can see the investment in public realm and streetscape improvements. I just wondered if you could elaborate a little bit on how that connects with housing affordability.
Sure. I certainly hope that your strategy is the right one. As someone who's done quality of life plans for Woodlawn and all these other communities that really haven't been that successful. So what would some of the metrics be for success from your program?
Hopefully by the echoing sentiments in the room, you've heard that there's decades and decades of political, generational, and social exclusion.
Yes.
That is the culture of Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. You know what I mean? So what we're hoping that the new culture will be is this wall of exclusion, that happens in the city. While this intent is wonderful, what I have seen firsthand is that the facilitation of this intent is still the same old politics.
But important lines of communication were established to facilitate follow-up on the many details yet to be clarified.
So if there's some, there might be some lag time, but I think we've made an amazing, I've been here for 120 days. And Mayor Lightfoot is in a hurry. And so I know it's going to take some time. I feel like I'm, building a plane while I'm trying to fly it. But it's exciting. I mean, the energy is there. The energy in this room is just so exciting.
I want to say we have experienced tonight the energy, the commitment, the thirsty need for more. Yes. And we appreciate that 120-day mark that you're sitting in right now. So yes, thank you for coming. And yes, thank you for being a part of a transformation, okay? Can we thank our guests tonight? We are believing. We are believing people, and we are looking for the rubber to meet the road, and we are believing that you're going to work with us on that now.
One thing is certain, having a physical space, a hub, a green hub in the hood, dedicated to implementing a whole system solution to a whole system problem, has brought a renewed sense of hope to a community, a people that has endured much disappointment from public and private officials over the years.
If you could sit here and see yourselves alive, bubbling, ready, loving, smart, and with all the resources that you need, except a strategic few, which we can now count on Brother Cox to facilitate. I'm going to declare this is a new day. And I'm going to declare, are you with me? Okay, all right.
In this era of climate crisis where catastrophe feels much too close, the attendees would surely welcome a perfect storm that, instead of bringing pain and suffering, has the potential to bring relief and empowerment to the heart and the soul of the city of Chicago. The seasoned activists and planners at the Green Living Room did not expect any guarantees regarding Invest Southwest, but they did seem to appreciate this heartfelt assurance from Commissioner
to hold
Cox.
me accountable. We're going to have this meeting again this time next year, and you're going to tell me what has happened or what hasn't happened.
A lot is riding on Invest Southwest. 1 year from now, we will better see if this transformative plan can fulfill its audacious promise.
So this is my life. This is what I have decided to do, to work with black and brown people, and I've done it all my career. And I never thought I'd have an opportunity to do it here in Chicago, and I feel blessed.
Indeed, a much needed blessing, not only for the commissioner, but for nearly 1 million Chicago residents, too often neglected by the city. As the attendees huddled with their newly appointed city planner, they made sure to leave him with one more audacious proposal.
So the Green Living Room is about living green. It's about green living in the hood, and it's about how we save money, clean our air, have better water, and increase our household income, one walkable village at a time. And every walkable village, every black and brown community, every neighborhood on the south and west sides ought to have a green living room.